What advice would you give yourself 10 years ago? Old school sci-fi TV shows and movies have often focused on this idea of going into the past and messing up the future by some little thing that was done thousands, tens of thousands, or millions of years ago. And I like applying that to the current state as a mental performance coach, as an athletic coach, as a leadership development director. I think it's important to understand that it's not just about going into the past and being worried about changing the future. It's what can you do today that's going to have a measurable impact 10, 20 years from now. Think about that in terms of finance. I'm not a finance expert, but I do know that if I invest in some type of retirement account and there's interest that accrues over time and compound interest, it's going to grow exponentially. I might invest $10,000, but I actually might make $50,000 or $60,000. I don't know what the numbers actually are, but think about that in terms of your personal growth, your professional growth, your relationships. What little things can you do today that are going to have a massive impact on your future, your health, your physical fitness? You go to the gym once or twice a week. Okay, you might be well, but do you really want to be well, or do you want to be fit? Do you want to look and feel good? Whatever your goals are, if you want to accomplish something significant down the road, you have to invest those little things consistently over a long period of time. It's not about going to the gym once a week and doing massive workouts. We know that doesn't work. You need to go to the gym consistently. I'd rather do 300 or 400 push-ups a day rather than trying to go to the gym twice a week and try to do 1,000 push-ups. It just doesn't work. Not only does it not provide you the benefit that you're looking for, but you might end up hurting yourself, short and long term. So what are the things that you really want to do? Have you even really thought about what you want your life to look like? Some people don't live that far in the future. So what is it for you? Is it finance? Is it relationships? Is it your personal or professional growth, your resilience, your fitness, your nutrition? All these things live on a spectrum. And it's not, are you good or are you bad? It's, where are you on this sliding scale of from sickness through wellness all the way up to fitness? I can apply those labels to anything. Are you financially well, or are you financially fit? There's a big difference there. Do you generally eat well? Okay, well, is that going to be good enough? If I'm looking to cut 15 pounds because I haven't been taking care of myself, or because I'm well, right? I might, just throwing out round numbers, I might be 220 pounds and be well, but maybe I go to my doctor and it's like, hey, long term, you might be looking at some heart issues as you age. You need to cut 10 pounds, okay? Well, if I don't take that serious and I maintain the current weight, and 10 years from now, my doctor's like, okay, you've been well, but that well is now slid a little bit down to sickness. Am I really going to be okay with that? And really, what would it have taken me in the short term, little things consistently over a long period of time that would have made the impact that I was looking for? I was just writing an article today on the illusion of choice. I use this all the time with my rugby players at Grand Canyon University. The illusion of choice. The greater your goals, the more defined your character, the fewer decisions that are available to you. That's not a limiting factor, that's clarity. I know who I want to be. I know what I want to become. I know I want to achieve. In order to achieve those things and be that person or become that person, there's a whole bunch of things that are no longer available to me. So I've really defined who I want to be and what do I want to accomplish. And if you haven't, if that's not important to you, then this conversation isn't for you. But you might want to consider, what is it that you might want to do? Little bits that are going to have that massive impact down the road. That idea of, I'm going to get in a time machine and I'm going to go back a million years, and somebody steps on a butterfly and then we come back to the present moment and English isn't English anymore, right? Things have changed because of that one little thing that had that impact over a long period of time. And I know it's science fiction, and I know it's, people like want to discount, oh, that's extreme, that doesn't happen. Yes, it does. It's just like the finance. If I invest a little bit over a long period of time, it's going to have a massive impact because of the growth and the compound growth and the reinvestment and all the things that come with financing over a long period of time my investment account. Your physical fitness. I could go to the gym 3-4 days a week, and I could occasionally miss a day and still be all right. But if I consistently miss a day, and that consistent missed day turns into a couple missed days, and suddenly I'm not going to the gym for a few weeks or a few months, and then suddenly I'm out of shape, I'm not feeling good, I'm losing my strength, I'm losing my flexibility, it's going to have a massive impact. Just like those little behaviors, unhealthy, unproductive behaviors, are going to have a massive impact over a long period of time, so are the healthy and productive behaviors. The biggest mistake that I made as a young father in my 20s was I had this idea of what I didn't want to be. I had examples of things that my parents did and family and friend and all these examples of things that people were doing and how they were parenting and how their relationships were. And I had a lot of examples of things that I didn't want to be. But I made the mistake. I did not define what I was going to. And so I guess this is kind of those the two-part idea that, first of all, the little things done consistently over a long period of time have the greatest impact. It's one of my favorite statements. If you do little behaviors over a long period of time, you're going to have a massive long-term impact. Finance, health, fitness, nutrition, relationships. How much am I, paying attention to my wife over a short period of time? That over a long period of time, she's going to appreciate that, rather than me, once a month I'm going to take you out on a date night and buy you flowers. The rest of the time, I'm not really going to pay that much attention, or I'm going to take you for granted. And then the second part of that is, how are you going to get there? Have you defined what that looks like? What does it mean for me to have a good relationship with my spouse? What does it mean for me to have fitness? Which is hard because I'm not really striving for anything. I'm not competing in sports anymore. I'm not really active in mountain biking and some of these competitive rough sports or activities that I used to do. The reality is I'm getting older. I can't manage the recovery process. I don't recover as fast as I used to. I can't beat myself up and expect myself to be healthy anymore. So that's part of how I've redefined happiness and activity. I have to have different things in my life. And so what does it mean to do those things? And then what does it mean to support myself? Because if I don't make it a priority, nobody else will. How have I defined what that looks like? And then how do I set up a process to ensure that I'm going to get there? And then how do I hold myself accountable to the daily decisions that are going to maintain that? It can't just be, hey, I'm going to wake up and feel motivated. No, I have to have a process. I have to have accountability and standards, things that I'm going to do from day to day. I wake up in the morning and I go to the gym, because if I don't wake up at 5 or 5:30, if I'm not out the house by 6 o'clock, I'm usually hitting traffic and it's a huge pain in the ass. Okay, so if I don't want to sit in traffic, then I need to leave for work early. Well, I don't want to be to work at 6:30, so I use it as an opportunity and an accountability of, all right, get your butt out of the house and get to the gym. And then 4 days a week, I'm in the office. 1 day a week, I work from home, so that almost guarantees, as long as I follow through on my plan, that I'll be at the gym 4 days a week, minimum. That's pretty good. Throw in, a Friday or a Saturday activity of some kind, I'm working out 5 days a week. That's pretty solid for somebody who's over 50. Okay, and then I have the plan, I follow through on the plan, and then it really comes down to daily decisions. Am I going to follow through on the plan? Nobody else is going to hold me accountable. Other people can inspire and motivate me, but it's my responsibility to get my butt out of bed, avoid the traffic by going to the gym. I've set up a process. It's not a fail proof, because there's plenty of times where I have woke up and I'm like, not today, and then I pay the price, because then I'm stuck in traffic and I'm saying, man, I just wish I should have went to the gym. It doesn't happen very often, because because I've told myself this is the standard. I need to hold myself to it. But it's those little things. Even if I don't have the ideal workout, I'm going to the gym. I'm making it a habit. And the more you do something, the better you get at it. So the more I wake up at 5 or 5:30, the easier it is to get up at 5 or 5:30. And then even on my days off, I'm still probably up early. But that also holds me accountable. I don't necessarily need or want to drink anymore. I don't care. So why do I need to be up 10, 11, 12 o'clock drinking with my neighbors? I can still spend time with them in a different way. It holds me accountable. I don't need that anymore. It's the illusion of choice. I certainly can drink at a random Tuesday until midnight, and then I'm going to pay the consequences. So if you say, this is the type of person I want to be, and these are the things that I want to accomplish, if you are really dedicated to those things, there's a whole bunch of things you don't get to choose anymore. I want to be an obnoxious one, but a real one. If I say I want to be a good husband, I want to be a good father, and I want to have a solid relationship, I want a loving, affectionate, consistent, healthy, long-term relationship, I don't get to sleep around anymore. I don't get to go out on random days and get drunk and come home and surprise, I'm home hammered. No, I don't get to do that anymore. And it's not that, I don't get to go out on Tuesday anymore. It's no, I'm not going to, because of that is detrimental to what I said I want to be and what I want to do. So how dedicated are you to yourself? How much do you want to accomplish something? How willing are you to do the little things consistently over a long period of time, so you get that effect looking back a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, whatever it is. I can look back 10 years ago and say, I was consistent in my nutrition. I was consistent in my fitness. My wife and I haven't been married for very long. We met later in our life and started a relationship. But ever since we started that relationship, I can look back on it and say, I have done everything necessary in order to ensure that this relationship has been as best as possible. I've learned a couple lessons. Yeah, sure, I've made a couple mistakes. But those are mistakes, not deliberate decisions of dumb shit. And even when I have made a few mistakes, I've learned from them and decided later on I will learn from this and I will do this instead of this. I'm not running from anything. I'm running towards something. I've defined what I want to, who I want to be, what I want to accomplish, the relationship I want to be in, the life I want to live, and I'm actively pursuing it. And it may not happen in the time that I want it to happen, but it's still going to happen. I'm going to get what I choose because I choose the behaviors that are going to get me to what I want. And if you set a goal or you define the character that you want to be and then find out that you're not doing the things, then maybe you don't want it as bad as you thought you did, or maybe you didn't define it clear enough. Maybe you need to go back and rethink, do I want this as bad as I want it? You can use any of those analogies. I want to climb to the top of a mountain. You get halfway to the top and you're like, nope, not something I want to do. And I totally get that you can pivot and you can choose. A long time ago, I used to be a runner, and I did the typical runner thing. I ran a 5K, I ran a 10K, several of them, and then I'm like, let me run a half marathon, and then eventually I'm going to run a marathon. I got 4 weeks into my half-mile training program, and I got done with a 10-mile run day, and I'm like, nope, not interested. And I never ran a half marathon, and I have never thought again about running a marathon because I just didn't want to do it as much as I thought I wanted to. And that's okay. I'm not saying that you have to stick with everything, because not everything turns out to be what we thought it was going to be. And that includes relationships as well. So, this is kind of one of those long-winded stream of consciousness, whatever you want to call it. Just my thoughts as I'm driving home. I'm going to get back into doing these videos more often of what do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to be? What do you want to stand for? I use myself as an example all the time. I have no problem sharing my successes and my failures. I made a lot of mistakes as a young father. I made a lot of mistakes in my young relationships because I didn't know what it meant to have a strong relationship. I didn't know what it meant to be a great father. I didn't know what it meant to be a great spouse. I only had all these examples of what I didn't want to be, And then by trying to avoid those things, they were still top of mind. And I still made a lot of the same mistakes, or I did equally stupid things. But I wasn't running towards something. And so by not, people get really annoyed of, morals, values, principles, and a mission, vision, statement, and all these. But that's where it is. If you don't have those things, then what are you trying to, you're just throwing dust in the wind and hoping that it's going to form into some amazing sandcastle. It doesn't work that way. You have to make a decision, and you have to have a vision, like the picture on the wall. What do I want my life to look like? If I take a snapshot, I'm not talking about the, blessed life, stuff of, no, I'm talking about the realistic image of what you want to accomplish, what you want to be. Have that vision of, what does it mean for me to be a great spouse? What does it mean for me to find a great partner in my life? What does that person look like? Who am I trying to find in my life, so that you don't just randomly find people? And it doesn't have to be the perfect person. It has to, but if you want to live a certain life and you meet somebody that's contrary to that, then maybe they're not the person for you, despite the hot and heavy romance that you may have. Does that person really fit into what you want your life to look like? If the answer is yes, and you end up changing who you are, just make sure that's a valid thing that you want to deal with, because you're the one that's going to deal with the consequences. Yeah, there's other people in your life, but man, if you're not responsible for your life, you can't expect other people to be responsible for it. They got their own problems, and that includes your spouse. Don't put that burden on them. Take responsibility for yourself. I'd love to hear, what does that look like for you? What does a great life look like for you? What does a great relationship feel like? What does it do for you, and how do you ensure that you're going to continue to work for that? I'm going home right now to my best friend, my wife. We're going to go hang out in the pool. She's probably got a plan for dinner, because she loves to cook. She loves to meal prep, and I help her with those things, but where she's much better at it than I am. Plus I work, she doesn't. So it's the things that we've chosen. I'm not saying anything about her place and my place. This is things that we've talked about. So I'm comfortable saying I'm going home to my wife who's cooking me dinner. That's something that she loves to do, and we've decided that's how our relationship is going to be at this moment. It might change down the road, and there's times where we're going to flip it. I'm not going to, either going to take her out to dinner, or I'm going to plan meals. I'm going to cook meals. I can do that just as well. I was a single guy for a while. I was a single dad for a while. I can handle myself. I don't need her. I want her. And it's been to the point now where I've been with her so long that I enjoy having her in my life. I can say that I need her only because she's the love of my life, and she listens to me, and she supports me, and we do all these things together. I couldn't imagine being without her. But that was a deliberate thing that we created over time through conversation and the intense discussion and deliberate decisions and deliberate behaviors that we've employed over a long period of time, several years. And the romance hasn't dwindled. The intensity hasn't dwindled. In fact, it's probably only gotten better. So come on, lady. It's a roundabout. Let's go. Oh my goodness. Sorry, just had a moment. Gotta breathe through it. Breathe through it. So the illusion of choice is an interesting topic. The greater your goals, the more defined your character, the fewer decisions available to you, because your character and your goals have already told you most of the things that you need to do in order to accomplish those things or become that person. Little things done consistently over a long period of time have the greatest impact. Little things, consistency, long time. Get it done in all areas of your life. And it doesn't have to be a solution, everything doesn't have to be solving all the problems at the same time, right? Focus on one thing. Eat a little bit better. Cut back on something that may not be healthy for you. Go exercise just a little bit more. Little things. And it doesn't have to be, people want giant solutions to giant problems, but it doesn't work that way. It's the little things, consistently, long period of time. I'm almost home. I'm trying to figure out a way to wrap this up. But I also don't want to be so scripted either. You know, based on statistics, most people aren't listening to this one. Maybe you are. And that's cool too, and I appreciate you. I'd be interested to know what this means to you. What do you want to hear about? I am very educated and experienced in things like resilience and mental performance and leadership, and I like to think that I'm a really good mentor, especially for guys. You know, what does a strong man look like? What does a healthy male role model look like? What does, a strong spouse do in order to show affection for their spouse? And it's, I'm married to a woman. I don't care who you're married to. Two of my best friends I was hanging out this weekend are gay dudes. I don't care. But the same applies to them. They have a good relationship because they care for each other. It's irrelevant. Those kind of things are irrelevant, and I only use myself as an example. But what does that look like for you? Let me know. Curious.